Welcome to YouTooSpain Live. On today's Q&A, we tackle the subject of insurance and find out what's essential when you're moving to or living in Spain. Joining me on the virtual settee by the virtual pool will be expert insurance broker Sam Cambell, who will be talking about what healthcare cover you need for your visa and further down the line, and answering questions about all of the other vital cover you need for your life in Spain. As always, there'll be plenty of very helpful information and answers all throughout the show, so stick around with us and enjoy the live chat. If you're watching the video back afterwards, you can ask questions still and chat in the comments below. You can even skip backwards and forwards using the time codes below, which I set up as soon as we finished, to find the specific answers that you need. But first of all, though, gather round, give us a wave, hit the like button somewhere down there and have your questions ready, or just relax and enjoy the chat. You're all welcome to YouTooSpain. So, let's dance. Lovely. Right then, just before we get chatting, don't forget to make a note of our website, YouTooSpain.com. It's always on the screen down there, and it's growing all the time, and you can find loads of resources, specialists and links that you need for your move to Spain and living there. There are articles based on all of the Wednesday videos, the midweek videos that I put out, so you can read them slower if you're in the mood for reading and gather all of the facts, and usually they've got additional information in there as well. There's a free newsletter at the beginning of every month, so sign up as soon as you want. Doesn't cost a penny to subscribe, nor does it cost you anything to subscribe on this very channel on YouTube. That just means you're telling YouTube that this is one of your favourite channels and you want to know what new videos are coming out. So one more especially important thing before we consider, for those of you looking to buy a house in Spain, exchange rates have been fluctuating a lot recently, and they seem to be following the usual seasonal variations. In the summer, the UK pound is usually worth more euros, then it dips down as we head towards the autumn. It doesn't happen every year, but it looks like it's going to happen this year. I don't have a crystal ball, but just as an example, a dip of 1.95% means that if you're buying a house for 300,000, you'll end up paying 4,800 more euros, unless you lock in the favourable summer rate of exchange now. It's quite important. There's a link in the video description to YouTooSpain's favourite broker's smart currency exchange, and that can make this possible. And at no extra cost to you, they help out YouTooSpain when you use the link below. So start a new free account today. It's a win-win-win with a cherry on top. There it is. So now, without further ado, let's meet our excellent guest for today. It's Sam Cambell. Good morning, Sam.
Morning. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks. And you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. A little bit warm because it's very, very overcast down here on the Costa del Sol, so very humid.
Yes, we seem to not have the humidity, but yeah, it's all cloudy around here, and we've had more rain than you have up in the mountains.
Oh, gosh, I know, desperately waiting for some rain. I know it's on the way.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Well, it's great to have you on the show. It's been a while since I talked about insurance on YouTooSpain, and we were only covering health insurance then. So we're going to cover the whole topic today, and that's going to be really helpful to any of our watchers, to all of them. Is there anyone you want to have a shout out to before we start?
I'd just like to shout out, obviously, to all of my clients that I know actually are going to be watching this morning. And gosh, I feel like I'm accepting an award. Basically, anybody who knows me out here in Spain.
Yes, mum and dad and all the family. Yeah. So let's see who's on the live chat. I know Jason and Robbo have been there for a little while, and Robbo, yes, and Jason's first question. We're going to answer all of your questions there about healthcare cover in the first half of the show, and we'll do them in the order that we've got the questions written down, the frequently asked questions anyway, so fantastic. You'll get your answers there, so we won't do them right at the beginning. And also Jason has one about house insurance, private alarm systems. We'll do that in the second half of the show, so don't worry if we don't answer that one immediately. And who else have we got on there? We've got such a long chat going on. It's all between Jason and Robbo. Good to see you all getting on. Dan Bryans, looking forward to another fantastic show. And Paul Cook, good morning. Anyone else? John McClue's back on. Yeah, morning, Skatz and Sam. Great show, guys. Excellent. And I'm sure there'll be more joining us as we go along. So, first of all, Sam, then tell us briefly about yourself and what you do.
Okay, so I relocated to Spain 23 years ago. Got an opportunity with my partner at the time to move over. So we jumped ship basically out of the rat race that was the UK at the time and moved down to the Costa del Sol. And actually, I live about 4 kilometers from the centre of Fuengirola in a really nice place called Campo Mijas. I have I say a child, he's about to be 18 next month. And I've been in the insurance business now for coming up for 12 years with my own company, recently launched this year. Have a great lifestyle, absolutely love it. This is my home, without doubt. Very rarely go back to the UK anymore. And obviously looking forward to spending my retirement and basically everything here. So that's me in a nutshell.
Oh, that's lovely. Hello to Expat 333. That's Mike in Ireland. Good morning to you. And Heather Patrick. Good stuff. Right then. Well, let's start by asking what kinds of insurance you absolutely have to have in Spain. And are there some that aren't obligatory but just advisable?
I think it's like anything. Insurance, you have to have it, really, full stop. I mean, especially in Spain, car insurance, the same as the UK, home insurance, life cover, again. Anything that you would really have in the UK is important. And I think especially for an expat as well, private medical, without a doubt. I've had mine since I've been here, and I have private and I have the state, but I veer on the private all the time. So yeah, all of the insurances are important.
It's interesting. I'm just on the state, just health insurance, that is. Got that because we're both self-employed anyway. So, but I think in the future, once the businesses have all, taken off, then I might be able to afford it then.
It's not that expensive.
No, true.
It's not.
There's been an animal welfare bill this year, and dog insurance is becoming obligatory this very month. So that's something we need to talk about, but we'll do that in the second half of the show. Yeah. First half, we'll cover the insurance that everybody needs to get their visa, and that's healthcare. I'm sure we'll have some questions in the live chat about that, and we already have. And so let's work our way through the FAQs and drop in and out of the live chat as we go along. So the basics first. Who needs private health cover?
Basically anybody entering Spain on a visa. Full stop. End of. You can't come over here without having private medical insurance in place.
Good stuff. That's when you're coming over on a visa, isn't it?
Yes.
Rather than coming over as a self-employed person. So yeah. And why doesn't the EHIC or the GHIC card give you coverage?
Because it only gives you 90 days temporary cover. That's why. It's more so for tourists coming over here, but it's not applicable once you are actually here and living here. So obviously, whilst you're over here, 90 days, you're covered. There's no issue. But if you're here permanently, you don't have the cover.
Good stuff. You can get a Spanish version of the EHIC once you're living here. If you want to travel to other places as well, that's worth knowing. I haven't applied for mine, and I just realised the other day, just in case.
Yeah.
Right. So private health insurance. Then, do you have to pay for 12 months up front? How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. It's part of the visa requirements. For your visa application, the policies have to be in place and paid for with your certificate and your policy schedule, either from the appointment date at the consulate or your expected entry date into Spain when you are actually relocating. So, for instance, if you had an appointment on the 12th of September, for instance, your policy can start on the 1st of October. But obviously you do need to check, because I do know obviously different consulates do have different waiting times, how they process things. Some are a lot quicker than others. Some are processing them 2 to 3 weeks. Some of them still have a 2 or 3 month waiting list. So it's always advisable to check. But yes, it has to be paid for upfront and the policy issued and in Spanish. So even though I can obviously sell products that obviously have the policy and everything in English for the expat clients, I have to produce the documentation for the visa in Spanish.
Hmm. Is there any way you can change if you have a problem, say, with your visa appointment and you have to move that till later, a month or two? Can you change your start date of your policy after
No,
you've?
once the policy's changed, the policy's changed. Sorry, once the policy is in place and
Mhm.
issued, that's it. You can't change it, make any verification to it whatsoever. No, unfortunately. You do have
Okay.
an option with some companies if you wanted to get a policy for 15 months. If you know the consulate you're working with has a big delay on that side, that can be discussed. But the second the policy is in place, that's it.
Good to know. So Dan's question is it the same if you hold an EU passport, do you still need private medical insurance?
Absolutely. If you're coming into the country on a visa application, you have to have private medical. There is no other way of getting around it on that
Ah,
side.
that's not one on a visa. If you've got an EU passport, you don't need a visa, but everybody needs health insurance, don't they?
Exactly, to come in. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Great stuff. How do you get around the consulate needing health insurance to be in place at your appointment, but it's more than 12 months until the end of year one? I think you've started to answer that one, really.
Exactly. You have the option if you want to, with some companies of having a 15-month policy. Some are even doing an 18-month policy from get-go. So you're definitely covered on that side.
Hmm. And it's all about, like you said before, setting up the start date of your policy so that you're kind of guessing exactly when you're going to
Yeah.
arrive.
Yeah.
Yeah, great stuff. Do all companies have similar policies?
Yeah, generally the bones of a private medical policy is exactly the same. You've got some companies, obviously, that will include add-ons into their policies. There are some that will give you a moratorium period on the policy. It is all down to what you're looking for, and that's obviously when clients come to me, we discuss their needs, we discuss what they have, what they're looking for, etc., on that side, and we try and get it right the first time for them.
Great stuff. What happens if you have pre-existing conditions? This is a big question. You hear questions on Facebook a lot about people saying, "Oh, I've got this pre-existing condition. I'm having real trouble getting
Yeah.
coverage."
As a rule, pre-existing conditions are not covered on a private medical policy, regardless of visa, full stop. They just obviously will not cover them. There are obviously companies that will accept them on a very limited basis of what they are. So they will actually accept them if they're minor, what they consider to be usual conditions of people of a certain age, let's say. And then there are companies which will exclude them altogether on a moratorium basis, which will be excluded for 2 years. And then obviously you have to show that you haven't had any symptoms or symptoms clear for 5, but that will enable you to get your visa. So there are options that we can cover, but as a rule, they don't like it. And it's simply because they don't want you coming over and being a burden straight away.
Hmm.
That's what it's all about.
So this moratorium, I've heard it called a waiting period.
Yeah.
It's not like a hospital waiting list.
No.
It's a period that you have to wait before you're covered for a certain condition.
Exactly, just for that condition, but it allows you to get your actual medical insurance, which is the most important thing. But your particular condition is excluded, because there are some companies that if we go to with a particular condition, they see the condition, they actually won't even discuss it any further. So with those particular clients I use a couple of particular companies, so we can get there. Yes.
Hmm. I've heard that there's some companies that actually issue the certificate. It just doesn't mention the pre-existing condition. Is that something that happens?
It can happen. Yes.
Yes. Okay. What documents do the consulates need to prove your health cover? I think you've already said the Spanish copy of the document.
Correct. It's the policy schedule in Spanish. It is the actual covering letter, which states that the policy is enforced with no co-payments as well, which is really important. And proof of payment. The policy receipt also has to be sent over to prove that it has been paid.
Okay. And that tells you the sort of proof of the start date and everything.
Yes, exactly. And the date they've taken the money, because it's all very well issuing a policy, but if we don't know the funds are in place, that's what they want to see.
Fair enough. And co-payments, you mentioned that. What are they?
Okay, so co-payments can't obviously happen when you're having a visa application. They can be discussed in the first year of renewal, actually. You can then obviously downgrade your policy to having co-payments. And what that basically means is your overall premium is lower, because if you choose co-payments, it means that every time you go to a doctor, you would pay a small fee to go to the doctor, and usually between maybe 10 or 15 euros every time you went to the doctor. If you decided that you needed checkups or specialist treatment, again, you would pay a small fee every time you went. So that would bring your actual overall premium down because you've gone the co-payment option. That usually is for people that are exceptionally healthy, don't have any issues or anything else, and just want to bring the overall premium down. Then they know obviously exactly where they stand, and that can be discussed at renewal on that
Is
side.
it so it's co-payments means that you're not covered for all of the money to get your treatment, is that right? And you have to pay extra. Is it just for certain kinds of treatment?
No, it's not actually that. It's just a way of bringing down your policy. So if your policy, say, for instance, I don't know, hypothetically was 2,000 euros a year, and then you decide on the second year or after the first year that you want to actually then go for a monthly payment, which you can do, because obviously for Visa, it has to be upfront for the full year. It has to be done. The second year, then you can renew your policy, and then you can go, actually, I want to have monthly payments. They calculate what the monthly payment is, and let's say the monthly payment is 80 euros. If you just go for straight monthly payments, and then they say, well, actually, I'd like co-payments. So that may reduce it down to, say, 60 euros a month because you have the co-payment. Your policy is exactly the same. You're just making it slightly cheaper for yourself.
Right. So it's a bit like excess on car insurance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So every time you use it, you pay a small. Correct. I like that. Where you've said that, that's perfect. Yeah, like an excess. So every time you use it, you make a little payment towards it. But the policy coverage is exactly the same.
Great stuff. Let's just zip into Mike from Ireland. Does the S1 give you access to just the National Health Service in Spain, or will it cover private as well?
No, is the answer there. I'm just sorry, I'm also reading it as well. No, S1 doesn't give you access to private. Private is private at the end of the day. I have been I have private healthcare, so I have actually been in there with English clients, English customers that have walked in requesting the same, but I've seen them being told they have to pay for it there and then. So it definitely doesn't cover you on that side.
Yeah, there you go. Is there a need to get additional private cover as a backup, was the second question.
Yes. In my opinion, I just think as a foreigner, it's always good to have private healthcare. And I think also, we're going to cover it later, but obviously there are no waiting queues. You can literally just go online, make an appointment. You can usually 9 times out of 10 will actually walk into the private doctors and be seen there and then as well, So yes, in my opinion, it's definitely worth it.
And the costs might not be as big as you think they are, just for some treatment.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been waiting over 6 months now. I think it was St. Patrick's Day when the appointment was asked for at the hospital, and I've still not heard, and my doctor's been back in touch with them another twice since then. Still nothing come through. So
I know. I actually had lunch yesterday with somebody, and they were telling me that they had a client who's been waiting a year for a bunion removal.
Wow. I suppose it's not an emergency, that one.
Exactly. And because it's not an emergency, it just keeps being pushed back all the time. So, and again, with private, you would be straight in there.
Yeah. I'm thinking about it now. I don't think it's going to be
sign you up after the show, don't worry.
Yeah. Good stuff. And actually, let's answer this one from Janet as well while we're there. Do you need medical summary from your GP, or is it generally a health questionnaire?
Okay, so it's generally a health questionnaire. However, Janet, if you have pre-existing conditions, you have a medical condition, they will request all the information. So this is why when I talk to my clients, I pre-qualify them to see what their medical history is. And then I always advise them to include everything. Send me the reports and everything else, because they're going to ask for that information. And then it will just speed up the process. So yes.
Excellent. And good morning, Phil Quantrill from Oaxaca. And back to the FAQs. I don't know if we've answered this one yet. Do policies need to cover you for everything from the policy start date, or do they have a waiting period before some conditions are covered? I mentioned this earlier, didn't I?
Yeah. I mean, basically, they've got to cover you for everything, a full medical cover. That's what a medical insurance is. Obviously, if you have the moratorium, obviously on that side, it's noted on there. So that's not a problem. If you're taking medical insurance, it is for full coverage.
Is that called vesting periods as well? I saw that
Yes.
mentioned on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's moratorium, but it is vesting. Yeah.
Good stuff. Jason's question is an impossible one to answer, I know, but what's a rough annual cost for private medical insurance?
Hold on a minute. Medical insurance, if I explain to you, when people contact me, is postcode sensitive in Spain, and it is made up obviously of your age. So it's your age, postcode sensitive. They are the two major factors: where you live in Spain and how old you are on that side are the bones of a policy. So Jason Webb one, you can always send me an email and I can try and advise you on that. But it's very difficult. It also depends what company you want, what level of cover you want. People have preferences to companies they want as well. And also, if you come away from highly populated areas, I live in a highly populated area, so we have so much choice of who we can use. And you go further into Spain, more rural, then only certain insurance companies will have coverage there. So therefore, your choice is limited. So it's a difficult question just to answer like that. It's made up of various things.
Yeah. Do you? I mean, you're based down in on the
Down
eastern
south.
side of Costa del Sol. Yeah.
Down
So is there just a limited a region you can cover, or can you cover the whole of Spain?
No, I actually cover the whole of the Balearics, so I can cover Spain, I can cover the islands and everything else. So and I have clients all over the place. And I work with companies that have coverage all over the place as well, which is really important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like you said, there are companies they're kind of connected to different doctors, aren't they, in different health centres?
Yeah.
So it's important that you get one it's a difficult thing for people who've not quite decided where they want to live when they move over.
Yeah, this is the thing. And when I say to people, I need a postcode, but I don't know where I'm living. Okay, well, I need a region of where you think you might be living, and that helps me, obviously. But it is really important to do your research. I had a client contact me last week who wanted a specific company. So we did the quote with this specific company. The company were actually brilliant, came back and said, actually, we don't have great cover in that area. They're going to have to travel at least to the next town. And I went back to him and he went, okay. So then we've gone for somebody else. So it is really quite important that you do your research, even just relocating, never mind medical insurance, to make sure you've got the infrastructure where you want to be.
Very important. Jason's trying to answer the question about how much. Well, he's saying it's not like €400 a year, more towards 2,000 upwards. Again, there's no way of quite knowing. I mean, there's the Convenio Especial, which is the public system that you can get onto after your first year, although it takes months to apply for, so it would end up being after your third year. This is answering, actually, I think it was Jason's question earlier.
You can do that, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, again, then of course you can do that. You're privy, obviously, to the waiting periods of public, and we're going to touch on it later, where people are asking about prescription prices. You don't get free prescriptions here in Spain. So again, it's very much, you kind of have to weigh up what's important to you, on that side when it comes to your healthcare here as a foreigner. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Good morning, Adam Farmelo. He's still topping up his tan here in Wolverhampton. Yes, you're getting more of a tan. Yeah, it was. I think a few weeks ago, the weather in Wolverhampton was better than it was here, and he was very happy about that. And then it all changed last week. It's all back to normal now.
Yeah.
And Robert says, Sam, I'll be contacting as soon as I have your email, as we'll be starting our visa application next April. Actually, give us your email now and I'll put it under the video. So
okay, really simple, because I had a really long, hard think about what I would call my company. So my company is samcambellinsurance.com and my email address is sam@samcambellinsurance.com.
Brilliant. Again, it's Campbell with a P in the middle. I remember that.
As in meatball.
Insurance. As in meatball.com. Brilliant. Yes, I'll put that under the video at the end that everybody can find it. I'll probably put it in the comments as well. I'll pin it to the top. That's where everybody can. Not everybody can find the video description. I found that. I don't think they're looking at all of because there's a massive set of links underneath the video.
Okay.
But you've got to find the title of the video, which is I think this end of the screen. and click on read more, and then you might have to click on read more again because it's a long list. Anyway, Janet's asking, do you know if Torrevieja has a particular company with coverage?
Yes, I do, Janet, and I can send you that information if you want to contact with me afterwards. There are a couple of companies in that area that have quite good coverage.
Excellent. And as a bonus, Jason said Sam's English is very good. Well, yes.
I'm English. Thank you. Thank you, Jason.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
You went to school. So,
Hi,
I think you answered this one earlier as well, but I've got it on my list. And our hospital waiting list shorter for the private clients?
Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. I haven't personally used, have I? Hospital? No, I haven't. But yes, you can get on the list pretty quickly, to be honest with you. As I said, I took out private healthcare when I came here, more so because I have, and I'll share something with you now, and you'll all be shocked. I've been here 23 years, and my level of Spanish is like that. I've tried numerous times. I've had numerous teachers. I just struggle with the grammar. The grammar is quite difficult, and I used to keep getting it confused all the time. And I was rubbish at school anyway in the UK with languages, so I kind of gave up. And obviously living down here, you don't really need it. But my son is fluent on that side, and it was just important to me to have, obviously, the care, and especially when I was going to have my child, and just the ease of being, oh my God, he's not well, rushing down straight into private healthcare. I need to see somebody straight away. You get seen immediately. Get seen immediately with children. If you are not feeling well, you can actually walk into a private thing, and obviously they will say, okay, we'll stick you on the list, and you get seen, usually within an hour as well. They probably don't like me saying this, but it is true. So in that respect, that's why I find it's just really important to have the private healthcare. And I've just kept mine going. He's 18 next month. And I've actually told him he actually has to have his own. He's still under my policy. But I just think it's really useful to have. You just don't know when you need it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and yes, like you say, they tend to speak English in the private ones, certainly on the south coast.
Yeah.
Anything else that people need to be aware of about health insurance?
Okay, I'm just gonna go. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, have a look at a list.
I'm just looking at our list because we keep going off the list. So
Sorry about that.
That's okay, no worries. What are you covered for? Right, we did touch on what are you covered for. Somebody asked about dental and prescriptions. Okay, so some companies, as a rule, cover you dental on your private medical policy, which will be the basic things such as a clean-up, polish, a couple of x-rays. That sometimes that's included for free. A lot of them actually give you an add-on if you want to have dental covered to your policy from inception. And this will cover you for X amount of fillings, x-rays, etc., and will also give you better discount then if you're going for big work like crowns, etc. So that's quite good. But again, prescriptions are not free in Spain at all, full stop, anywhere. Private health, they're not free, and the social, they're not free. They are cheaper on the state than they are on private, without a doubt. But to be honest with you, even private, they're a fraction of what they are in the UK.
And there's a kind of monthly limit on the spend, isn't there?
Well, again, that really, what are you talking about? Private?
No prescriptions in general?
Well, yeah, possibly, but I'm not particularly ill, so I don't really know that. I would have to research that more to tell you that. But yes, I think there is, yeah. But they're minimal. They're minimal, the prices for prescriptions on the state anyway, so.
Yeah, that's true. I know they're certainly a lot cheaper than Ireland, because a lot of friends I had who are on maybe heart medication, and it has to be regular. They were paying something like €200 a month for their prescription, and I know it's nothing like that in Spain.
Sorry, I'm also reading their comments on the side as well.
Yeah, Jason says that's a big appeal for his move to Spain is that no waiting lists for treatment, and he doesn't have any health issues yet.
Yeah, I mean, Jason, obviously with your comment, no waiting list for treatment, I suppose it depends what the specific treatment would be. But in comparison, obviously, to state, you can request an appointment with a specialist. And the times that I've had to do it, usually for a specialist, usually maximum 14 days I've had to wait for an appointment, which is not bad. So.
He says his mum waited for three years for a life-saving operation. Then on her operation day, waited 7 hours. Then they sent her home, cancelled it. That's unusual for a life-saving one, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But I'm not going to go into a big rant about how the government aren't spending enough money on the NHS, but there we go. It's probably a lot, Jenna says, it's probably a lot cheaper than my council tax.
Possibly. I'm not sure where you live, but yes, possibly.
Yeah. Let's go to Jason's question that he asked really, really early on. Let's put it up on the screen. We've talked about Robos, which is the prescriptions. So I hope that's answered your question, Robbo. But Jason is this one. Please clarify, do I need private medical insurance for 5 years on the NLV, then once a permanent resident, I think he means, I can move to state medical insurance? Is at the moment 60 to 65.
Okay, so basically the law actually states that when you get private medical in conjunction with your visa, it should be for 5 years. That's actually what it states everywhere on that side. So I have to be honest, I always advise my clients to actually take it for the full 5 years. I know obviously some people actually want to move out, obviously, and then go on to the state side, and that's basically their choice. But as part of the visa requirements, it does actually say 5 years.
Okay. That is good to know. And that's the, going on to the state one, is the Convenio Especial,
Correct,
which
yes.
you mentioned earlier.
Yes, correct.
So I hope that answers that one, Jason. And we'll talk about your house insurance one after the break. Let's see, any more questions before then? Oh yes, this one. Can you set up insurance for the non-lucrative visa and then cancel when you arrive in Spain to set up a different policy, for example?
No, absolutely not, because your visa application is based on your policy and all the information that they have. So you cannot change it for the first year. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You're breaking your entry into Spain rules, basically, of doing that. It's part of you being allowed to come into the country.
Great. Well, not great. Good to know. Let's move on to what you do when you arrive in Spain. Is it the first thing you do, register with a health centre?
Yeah, I always advise that. I think, again, I am presuming, I moved here so long ago, but I'm presuming obviously when people do their research, they research the area. If they're coming with families, they're obviously looking for schools. Doctors is the first place that people look for. So I always advise people, the second they come over, that's one of the things they do. Go and register at your local GP. When you have your medical insurance, you will actually be given a directory of the local medical centres in your area anyway, with all the contact details for you to be able to go there and actually register once you're over. So that's something they all offer as standard.
Great. So no more questions about healthcare, unless you can think of anything else, Sam, before we move on.
No, I'm just having a quick look. No, it's not as scary as everybody thinks at all. To set it up is pretty easy. My job as a broker is to help you, so that's why it's easier to use a broker than to go on, in my opinion, to go on to somebody's website and fill in a form, because there are lots of questions, obviously, they do ask, and especially when it's a medical declaration form. And I've had so many people fill out the forms incorrectly as well. So my job is to guide you and to help you. And that's why I like to obviously have the conversations with you, understand any medical needs that you have, requirements, etc., and what you're looking for is the most important thing. So yeah, that's my advice.
Brilliant. So if you've got any more questions about healthcare, and we can always answer them after the break, viewers, or you can put them in the comments below the video and we'll get them answered afterwards. So before we move on then to the other kinds of insurance, we're going to have a quick message from me and my 3 alter egos about the wonderful things available to you as YouTooSpain fans. So where is that? Let's find it. Here it is. See you in a moment. Are you getting something helpful from this show? Are you enjoying YouTooSpain? Then click on the thumbs up and subscribe to YouTooSpain while you're here.
and click on the bell for notifications. It's all free, but it's worth loads of money. I need coffee to keep my picker up. You can donate coffee to us all. There's a link in the video description below, or use the QR code. It'll be in the top left-hand corner of the screen after this message, sweetie. But that's not all. You can support YouTooSpain with a regular monthly amount. It's only a few quid. Oh, he's worth a lot more than that. There's a link below to Patreon, where you can find out what extra groovy things you get by helping out. Oh, I'm all a quiver. One more thing. Get on with it. There's an important guest twiddling their thumbs. All right, calm down. The lovely video watcher needs this. Go on then. There are lots of other links to vital things below. Like what? Well, do you need private healthcare insurance? Yes. Do you need a visa or residency? Do you need to exchange currency? What about finding a property? Or getting tax and pensions advice? Or getting a Spanish mortgage? Or getting documents translated and apostilled? Or getting a medical certificate? Or finding a lovely little app for learning Spanish? Do you need the best mobile phone provider? Or a digital business card so you never need paper ones again? Or do you just want one of YouTooSpain's t-shirts with a slogan on it? You can even get discounts on dental treatments and get a lovely little smile like Skatz. All of those links are there, down below. If you can't find them, ask me in the comments. Is that everything, darling? I need to get my nails done. Probably not, but let's get back to the show, shall we? Back to Skatz in the studio. I wanted to say that. Oh, stop being beastly, you two. You too, Spain. Over to you, Skatz.
Thank you so much, Skatz, Walter, Tommy and Dick, for joining us. If you have any questions for any of them, then ask in the comments below. I'm going to start doing some videos. If you subscribe through Patreon, then I'll do some private videos where you can talk to them yourself. And Tommy's not been in the videos very much. There's also the Colonel, who I'm sure you'll recognise, who's the one who's the other replacement for Tommy at the moment. Anyway, ask me about those things. So we didn't have any questions specifically from Facebook, so let's move on, see if anybody's asked any questions in the chat. Actually, before we move on, can you please put Sam's details either on screen or link in the description? I will put it in the video description below as soon as the live show has finished today. Don't worry about that. I've got it on my piece of paper there. And let's see, John McClue is car insurance cheaper in Spain. We'll move on to car insurance in a moment. Let's start first with pet insurance. So what does the new animal welfare bill say about pet insurance, and what does it mean for pet owners moving to Spain?
Okay, so basically they are bringing in a new bill on the 29th of September, which is basically to include dogs as family members. Great. Okay. Mm-hmm. Which means obviously now you have to pay for the privilege as well with insurance. So basically it means that all dogs have to have liability insurance, full stop, irrespective of their breed, their age, their size, or their traits. Mm-hmm. Okay, so any pet from the 29th of September now has to have a separate pet insurance policy, and it is purely for liability. It is not for vet fees. It's nothing, like completely separate from the 29th. Yes. There's a lot of paperwork involved for us as insurance brokers to deal with now. And obviously they've been spending the summer obviously finalising this, because it was only announced a couple of weeks ago officially, and all the insurance companies were on holiday, as you know, for the whole month of August. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So I have a lot of work to do.
Yes, not brilliant time to bring out anything.
No, but anyway.
No. And you've got to go on some kind of course as well.
Yes, I've read that as well. Again, I'm not quite sure how that's going to be monitored, but that's everything that I think is going to follow officially. But yes, I've read the very, very long 3-page document that they're saying has everything that has to be done as well. Yeah. Great
stuff. Are people covered for their dog on their home insurance, or do they need a more specific policy?
Okay, on the home insurance, as it stands at the moment, some Spanish companies actually cover pets anyway for liability cover. We were actually just waiting to find out if they were going to need an additional policy as well. I have lots of clients on Spanish home insurance policies that have multiple dogs. I think automatically covered, I think you can go to 5. Anything after that has to be a special policy. And we're being led to believe they may just have to pay a little add-on to make sure all those dogs are actually covered if they're already on an existing home policy on that side. So really this is to do a lot with people who are renting as well, who don't obviously have the same coverage on a renter's policy that they have on a buildings policy. It is a standalone policy. And it's going to be a fixed fee regardless of the weight, of the size, etc. of the dog. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. What about if you're on holiday in Spain with your dog? Do you need the same kind of insurance?
Well, if you're on holiday in Spain with your dog should be covered from the UK or from whichever country you're coming on holiday from. People take their dogs abroad, they're usually covered from their home country. You can't buy a policy here once you're in the country that you're having a holiday from. Same as holiday insurance. It has to come from your home country from when you start date of leaving.
Great. Heather Patrick saying picture quality is a bit fuzzy, not clear. That'll be a problem between the satellite and your broadband. I'm afraid it all seems to be going out okay from this end, and Jason says his is fine. So yeah, sorry about that. Jason says refresh the page. Yeah, that might help. It could be the weather in your area. Yeah. There we go. So anything else we need to say about pet insurance? I think we've kind of covered that one, haven't we?
I think we've covered it. I mean, this is a liability policy. It's not pet insurance. There are two different things. You can buy pet insurance here in Spain, which is the pet version of private medical. So it will cover your animals, your dogs, your cats only if they're involved, obviously, in an accident or they have an illness. You have a set amount of coverage. You have a set amount which is allocated per claim that you have for that particular illness on that side. So that completely different. The two are separate, but you can buy pet insurance as well to cover your pets.
Robbo says, I'd always recommend pet insurance. My cat was ill last January, spent 18 days at the vets at a cost of over 5,000?
9,000.
9,000. Sorry, I've got the wrong glasses on. Says I'll be insuring her in Spain too. Yeah, it wouldn't cost that much in Spain for the actual treatment, but it would still be expensive for 18 days. You know?
Yeah, I think it's a lot cheaper here in Spain anyway. But again, Rob, as you know, having pet insurance, then you'll be fine on that side. Again, with pets, it's very similar to obviously people, pre-existing conditions, etc., etc. There are age restrictions, obviously, with pets as well. But you know, the information is out there. So
great. And yeah, I think that's all the pet ones. I'm just having a check of the questions there. No. Okay, car insurance next, before we move on to the home insurance that some people are asking about. So, how does it work? And I know it's the car that's insured, not the person. So how does that work?
Yeah, that is the big difference here in Spain. It is the car that is insured. So that means obviously you can't, if you live here in Spain and you want to go back to the UK and you want to drive someone's car, you're not covered. You have to actually put yourself on their insurance policy in the UK. So here it's actually the vehicle insured and not the person. So because it's the vehicle that's insured, you can decide how you actually want to insure your car. So you get the option of insured only, which means only you can drive it, insured and a partner. And then after that, it becomes an open policy, which means anybody can drive the vehicle with your permission. Here in Spain, it's over the age of 25, okay? And then you have the normal options of coverage. You can have third-party only, third-party fire and theft, and fully comprehensive. But you have to remember, whatever coverage is on the car policy is the coverage. So if you lend it to somebody and they have an accident or they do something, let's say they reverse out of their driveway because they borrowed it and they damage it, but your car is only third party only, you're going to have an awkward conversation with them about them covering the cost because it won't be covered on the policy. So it's actually what is covered on your policy.
Yes. So if you're the car owner, it's all down to you. It's your policy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's good to know. That covers a lot of the other FAQs that I've got. Can you drive any car with permission? I mean, you can drive other cars, but it's whether you're covered.
It's whether you're covered, and there are specific, obviously, categories of cars, especially high-performance cars. I have a lot of clients that do have some very very nice cars, and usually they are named drivers only, so no one else can actually drive the cars. And that's again to do with the horsepower, particular type, how long the person's had their driving license for, and their age as well plays huge factors on that side.
Do you need a Spanish driving license to have a policy, or is it any EU or any valid license?
As long as they hold a valid EU or Spanish driving license, they can drive. Obviously, I think still for the UK clients, I think until they change their license to Spanish, they have to have the UK or the international driving permit. I think still the white card on that side.
So you can start your insurance policy with your UK one with an international driving permit.
Yeah, absolutely. But obviously, when you go through the process of exchanging the driving license, you actually have to submit all of that, and they then give you a notarized A4 piece of paper, basically with your details, the information of the driving license stamped, which you would have to produce if you're stopped by the traffic police here on that side. So yes.
Great. What documents then should you carry in your car? Is that one of them then?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it used to be up until I think a couple of years ago, you had to carry everything in your car for obviously the police. Now, technology has caught up here finally in Spain, so they can actually read the number plate, so they know if the vehicle is insured, if the vehicle has an ITV, which is the Spanish equivalent of the MOT. On that side, I actually always advise my clients to actually carry a copy of their policy schedule with them. Also to carry a copy of their Spanish logbook as well, and always have your driving license on them, because here, if they decide they want to do a little road stop and you haven't got your policy and your documents on you, you could be liable for a fine on that side.
Is it all right to have a copy, like a copy of your passport?
If you have a notarized copy, yeah, absolutely.
Just got to be notarized.
Yeah, so just again, you just literally need to go to a Gestora lawyer, get them, take a picture of it, and they stamp it on that side. Because as we know, losing a passport is a real pain to have to try and replace it on that side.
That's a good idea. I'm going to get that done, because I'm carrying my passport around all the time when I'm outside.
Never, I never carry it ever.
Yeah, mine's an Irish one. It's even more valuable.
Exactly. The English one's not so great at the moment, but the Irish one's doing really well. Yeah, I know.
Oh, Phil's got one about pet insurance. Let's see. If you're looking after a friend's pet, do you need insurance, or are you covered by the owners?
Gosh, well, if the friend has got pet insurance, you're covered by their policy.
Yeah.
You can only take the only people that can have insurance is the owner of the policy. So the name that the policy is in, that's it. At the end of the day, it's not open to sharing. So yes, if your friends have pet insurance and you're looking after them, then I would imagine that they're going to leave you the vet's details, etc., and the details of the insurance policy, and then you would just go to the vet.
Great. And how long, Jason says, do car insurance policies last? Are they annual?
Absolutely. All insurance policies are for a year.
Great stuff. Yes, that's a common one to the UK. And anything else about car insurance? I think we've covered everything, haven't we?
Yeah, I think somebody did actually mention further down, is it cheaper than the UK? Again, personally, in my experience of doing this now for probably 12 years, no. And I'll tell you the reason why. Because in the UK, you do have multiple Go Compare, all these different portals that people can obviously go on and get really, really cheap car insurance. And I know in the UK as well, you have Saga and car insurance companies that are aimed specifically at specific markets. We don't really have that in Spain, if I'm honest with you. It's not hugely out, but when I get people say to me, well, I just need to have my Range Rover Sport insured, and I've had the car for 10 years and blah, 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 and I'm paying €200 a year or £200 a year. And I'm like, wow, great. You're never going to get that here in a million years. It's all relative to the country and everything else. But, rule of thumb, because I'm a broker, I can shop around the different companies, so I can get the best price for you that I can get at the time. So
it's slightly cheaper than Ireland. That was my experience when we moved over.
Okay.
But Ireland does have more expensive, and certainly the road tax in Ireland is massive.
Right. Okay.
But there you go. So home insurance. Let's go on to that now. Is there anything different about home and contents insurance from, say, the UK?
Okay, so the major difference is the public liability cover. The public liability cover in the UK, really for most things, is generally higher than Spain. I know the UK companies, I think, as a rule, tend to have 1 million or 2 million set as normal in their policies. In Spain, it's 300,000 euros. That's it. And I actually queried this when I first came into insurance. But the UK's got 2 million and we've only got 300,000. Why is that? Because that's how it is here. They very rarely, anything goes to court, never goes over that figure, ever. So therefore, they don't include it any higher. You can get it and you can up it to 600 and 900,000. Some places, depending on what you're actually trying to get the cover for, will go to 1.2 million. I've never, ever had anybody need it going over. So that is the biggest difference. And obviously, if you ask for more cover, you're going to pay for more cover as well. So it's not needed on that side. So that's with regards to the liability. The other thing here that's different to the UK is all risk cover on jewellery. I know in the UK, on your home insurance policy, a lot of them will cover all risk cover, which is the additional cover that you have if you have expensive watches, expensive jewellery, even if you have art at home, that kind of thing. So obviously in the UK, when you're traveling abroad, your jewelry, handbags, etc., will all be covered. It is not standard in Spain to have high amounts on all risk cover. Most companies will give you maximum 6,000 included in the policy. I do work with two companies, well, actually one really specific that will offer you that for all risk on that side. That's obviously when we're talking high level, people that have expensive watches, watch collections, jewelry. Because as we know, a lot of people now are investing in watches, etc., and they want to have them covered. So that's really the two major differences. When you're looking for home insurance, if you have expensive items, obviously it needs to be discussed, and then we can try and find the right company for you.
And if you've got musical instruments,
absolutely, they can also be covered as well. But everything in Spain has to be also listed on your policy. I know in the UK you can have blanket coverage for a lot of things, and you don't actually have to name things like that. So, but here in Spain, it all has to be put on the policy.
I've got separate from mine, but that's because I take it out on the road and I'm gigging. It's in my car, so I've got to have it.
Yeah. Oh, and again, just touching on that, items in the cars aren't covered as well on car insurance. Just quickly going there, if you have. You leave something in your car, or you leave something in your boot, that kind of thing. They don't cover for contents in a car on car insurance.
That's good to know. Yeah, that's why I've got it on my musical instruments
policy.
one.
Yeah,
absolutely. And you can't leave the car unguarded with musical instruments in it for very long, at least. You can be. It's why
everything unguarded for very long here. Actually, unfortunately, no.
This is true. Okay, Phil asked a question in here. This was. We live in a community and we're advised to take insurance for the contents and building with the same company as the community buildings insurance. So yeah, that's people who are living in the same building who yes. What do you say about that?
That is the answer to that. You're not obliged to. It's not law that you have to do that. That's the community asking you to do that because most probably they're getting an incentive from the company that's actually insured the community. You as the individual can insure with whoever you want to. That's the bottom line. I've heard and I've seen that many a time. Yeah.
He does say we also take out buildings insurance, not really necessary, but for the small extra cost, saves any arguments between insurance companies as to who is responsible in case of a claim. It's got to be them that's responsible, hasn't it?
Okay, so just to give you a little bit of information, in Spain, communities can take out minimum insurance cover, for that particular community, depending on whether it's got 20 apartments or 500 apartments. They can take out the minimum cover to keep them legal. So then basically what happens is if there's a claim, they don't want to get involved because they've only got minimum cover. So they try and push everything onto the homeowner. So yes, I've seen obviously from a claims perspective as well, the fighting that goes on. So as a rule, if you have obviously an apartment, the structure should be covered by the community. It's as simple as that. And you should just cover the inside of your contents and something which we call first loss cover, which is your internal shell. Okay, so basically your internal walls, your floors, etc., have to be covered, because that's definitely not covered. So if anything happens structurally, or if there's a leak from outside going in, it is down to the community on that side. But, you know, we have come across, unfortunately, communities that either have minimum or sometimes no cover on that side. So yes, sometimes it can be advisable just to take the full insurance, just for peace of mind on that side. But by law, you're not actually required to have it, because the community should be fully insured.
Mm-hmm. Good to know. Now, Jason's question from really early on. Let's answer that one now. Here we go. And here it is. What type of... Yes, this is an interesting one. This is something you hear on Facebook all of the time. I have a holiday home and squatters have moved in. So what type of house insurance, private alarm response monitoring would I require to legally be able to remove potential squatters if my holiday home is occupied?
Okay, so the alarm has absolutely nothing to do with it, unfortunately. It's nothing. What type of house insurance, private alarm response would I require to legally be able to remove potential squatters? Okay, so basically it's always advisable to have an alarm system anyway. I'm sure most of you in the UK do. More so here, actually, I have to say, if you do have a holiday home on that side, and if you have one, obviously, that's on an annual contract that goes to the security company, which means obviously they would monitor it and they would come out. Squatters is almost a kind of a separate, comes under almost like a little separate bubble. The squatters really have to be removed from a property within the first 48 hours. If you can get the security company there, you can get the police there, and you can get them out, then usually there is no issue. They very rarely tend to go back. Mm-hmm. There are, on certain insurance companies, you can take out extra cover for squatters, which is the legal side on that side, which will actually help you legally to remove them from the property, because it actually really does have to be done legally. There are companies that advertise the other option to get rid of squatters. But obviously, and I'll tell you, we had it happen to us. This was probably going back, it was in a rental property that we had, let me think, about 10 years ago. And we had it rented for quite some time, and then the tenants moved out, and then we were deciding if we were going to re-rent it again. And in that interim, somebody broke into the property, and we were like, oh, they changed the locks, they did everything. And we were, oh my God, what do we do? We'd never experienced it before. And we tried on numerous occasions, and we lived here as well, but we were quite away from the property at the time. And we could not get any response. They had people there all the time. So we actually had to hire a lawyer in the end, which was very costly back then to actually do this. It took us 6 months to actually get them out of the property. So I would obviously advise you, if you can get extra protection on your home insurance policy, take that option there. Yes, obviously have the alarms and everything else in place. Make sure that it's a reputable company that has good coverage as well. There's no point taking this out with a company that only has maybe 2 cars. You know, you need someone that's got a lot of cars on the road, that kind of thing. And also you can now get smart home devices, can't you, where it's actually on your phone as well, so you can monitor it from abroad. They're really, really good. And I would probably really kind of opt more so on something like that as well, getting that, because you can see in real time what is happening as well on that side. So I hope that helps.
Great advice, thank you. Let's see now. Anything else? Oh, Bill Anderson from me has good information, guys. Nice to see you both. Yes, lovely to see your name again, Bill. Bill, of course, was on the show a few weeks ago. How's the book going? Have you got the launch date yet? Tell us about that in the comments. And I think there's a conversation going on about Torrevieja and recommendations for where to live there, and is there good transport? Good. I'm glad you're giving each other good information there. Robbo says, Sam, when I email you tomorrow, what information do you need from me to save emailing back and forth?
Robbo, you need to remind me what you're emailing me for. What, in respect to what? I can't remember what you're looking for.
Yeah, can't remember. No.
Yeah, I can't remember. Drop me an email and I'll tell you exactly on the first email. So don't worry, we'll get there.
Brilliant. And Kevin Elford. Good morning, Kevin. Currently in Spain on a research trip. Keep up the good work. Best wishes, Kevin Tracy. Lovely to hear from you. And
Okay, private healthcare. Okay.
oh yeah, private healthcare.
Okay,
Good.
so basically, if I need from you, I can tell you right now because it will apply to everybody. To do an actual quote, I need your full names, dates of birth, postcode of where you're going to be relocating to, and any pre-existing health conditions that you may have. That's what I need in a nutshell, and then I can go from there.
Nice one. Jason says, one-stop insurance shop. Yeah.
Absolutely. Everything, yeah.
John McClue says, squatters are likely to disconnect cameras, etc. Well, that's
Yeah.
a possibility, yeah.
It is a possibility, John, but obviously the second that alarm is triggered, you know that they're in there. And if you've got it obviously on your phone, you can action it straight away. But yes, you are right.
Yeah, because disconnecting the cameras can actually set the alarm off, can't it?
Yeah.
There we go. So is that everything about home cover?
I think so.
I can't see any more questions than I've got on that. The other two kinds of insurance we've got listed are life insurance and funeral insurance, which are kind of linked together, aren't they? You're getting a bit hot there.
Sorry, guys, it's really because it's so humid here. I'm looking out my window and it looks really like it wants to rain, and the humidity in my hair is probably just going to go really curly in a minute, so it's super hot here. Sorry. Life insurance, yes. Obviously, it's advisable when you come over to Spain to take life insurance out. You will probably find that the banks here are very different to the UK, and I don't want to deviate slightly. However, they are quite aggressive when it comes to selling any add-ons in the bank, which we're not used to from the UK. And obviously, life insurance is one of them when it comes to a mortgage, that they will obviously try and tell you have to take it. It is not law, but they do obviously push you to do it. Life insurance is really, really easy. The application here in Spain to complete, very, very few questions actually on that side. And I can actually do it there and then live and actually get a quote for you on that side. So pretty good. Plus they give you lots of additional options as well if you want accidental cover, etc., etc. And what was the other one?
Funeral insurance. That's something actually I'll probably do a program about that with Anita that we both know.
Exactly. Exactly. And again, yes, definitely I advise that as an expat here. I think that it's very, very different here to the UK. And I do think that it's something that everybody should have in place, whether you go for a prepaid funeral plan where it's all paid for, or you go for funeral insurance, which you can pay for monthly on that side. But definitely as an expat, definitely advise you to take that out.
Great. Well, I think that's covered all of the insurances. So while we wait for any more live chat questions, guys on the live chat, obviously we have some time delay on this. So while we're waiting for that, any more final words from you, Sam?
No. It's not as scary, I think, as everybody thinks. Listen, if I've survived here for 23 years without speaking Spanish, you'll all do fine. And it's great. I have no regrets. You know, the quality of life living here is superb, you know, in that respect. I left because I was very disgruntled with the UK 23 years ago. I had very, very good job, and a lot of money, had all the perks that went with it. And then you come over here and it's just completely different. You know, it is a lot more laid back. There's no keeping up with the Joneses. You know, my life back in the UK was the next company car and the next this and the next that, which is kind of what we go for. But you don't really have that here, which is lovely. So I think when you make the move, you will really, really enjoy it. Janet, I saw that question before.
Yes, I missed that one. Sorry.
Yes, and I meant to go back to it. Okay, not all insurance companies will do that, but the expat companies that I work with will. So you've got full UK no claims. When I do the quote for you, I will give you full no claims as well on that side. So no issue there at all.
Great. I think I might come to you for a quote. Mine's all in all of my insurances, unfortunately, because we moved here in November. Absolutely everything happens. All of the massive load, and I pay for everything over a year rather than monthly. So
Yeah, you get the options. I mean, obviously with car insurers, it really depends on the premium as well, though. Because obviously if you're going to pay it quarterly or half yearly, they're always going to add a small admin charge on as well. So you kind of really have to take that into consideration. And again, with the home insurance, that you have the options as well there to do that. So, but yes, to everybody, if you have UK full no claims. And I can then help you with the companies that will accept them immediately, so you don't have to worry about paying through the roof because you're from the UK. Yeah.
Like I said, in Ireland, car insurance, I had to. I was so used to driving cars that weren't worth that much that I just put the minimum insurance on it, and I had the maximum excess. It was like over €1,000 excess. So there was no way that I was ever going to claim on it because it wouldn't be worth. I'd have to pay for a new car that was, and just splurge on the amount. So I just drove carefully. That's the secret to all.
That is the secret. However, I would advise everybody in Spain to have fully comprehensive cover, especially in the populated areas. As we know, they don't drive the same that we drive in the UK. Absolutely not.
I still had fully comp because it didn't actually make that much difference in Ireland. Yeah. You didn't reduce it much by going third party. So.
Yeah, no, definitely here I advise all my clients to go fully comprehensive for their insurance, definitely.
Yes, we see so many damaged cars, especially up here in the mountains with the tiny roads.
Exactly, and they like to park with their bumpers in Spain, I have to say. Yeah, I've watched it many times, actually watching them horrified, but that's where we're at.
I first noticed that when I went to Paris. I was sitting in a restaurant and there was a car exactly the size of the car was the space, and they were just bumped forward and bumped back, and it took them, it was like a 30-point turn that they had to do for parking. But and it was just, I was completely flabbergasted, but there you go. Yeah. So John McClue says the secret of everything is to build a good rapport with a lovely broker like Sam. It will save you a fortune.
Oh, thank you, John.
Yes, excellent. Janet says, thanks again. I'll be emailing very soon. Good. So no more particular questions there. So, excuse me, if you have any more questions or comments after we go off the air, put them in the YouTube comments below. And not on, so if you've actually come to this video via Facebook and clicked on it, and then you go back to Facebook after you've finished watching the video, don't ask the questions on Facebook. Put them on YouTube because it won't get enough people noticing it, and it's good that everybody gets the same advice and answers that you can get. So that can only happen here underneath the video. There you go. And as usual, I'm going to put the win-win-win sign there. It's a win-win-win with a cherry on top. Don't forget you can get the t-shirts with all of these things on. I was going to wear one today, but there you go. Not just t-shirts, mugs, all kinds of stuff. And don't forget to click on the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, so you'll be the first to know what's coming up each week on the live shows and the midweek videos. So anything else from you, Sam? I think you've given me your final bit of advice there, haven't you?
Yeah, no, I think that's it. And I'd like to thank you all, obviously, for being so nice with your questions. Nobody threw many curveballs this morning, so that was lovely. And yeah, anything, as Skatz said, just drop me an email. I'm more than happy to answer anything that you've got. Obviously, any questions about any form of insurance on that side, happy to help. That's what I'm here for. So no
absolutely issue. Excellent, thank you for that. In a moment, I'll tell you all what jewels of wisdom we have for you on next week's show. But for now, let's say a huge thank you to Sam for being so helpful. Thank you, Sam. And of course, you're welcome back anytime.
Lovely, can't wait.
All right. Goodbye for now then.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
There we go. So on next Saturday's show, I've got on my notes that Chris from Upsticks is back with us. Or is it his wife, Lara? Because I think we're going to be talking about cars. And Lara's taken over that side of the business with moving your car over to Spain and getting it put on Spanish plates. So we'll find out, won't we? And I will be announcing that on the YouTooSpain Facebook community and the Facebook page. So you can ask questions on there in advance, or you can subscribe to this YouTube channel and ask questions there. So thanks to all of you on the live chat. Let's just click back on the live chat and see if there's anything else come in. Where is Sam based, said Jason. You missed the start of the show. She's down near Fuengirola, which is the other side of Malaga from us. That's eastern Costa del Sol. And yes, that's all. Please remember to add Sam's contact details. I will do. Sam at samcambellinsurance.com. I'll say it again now. And you can see that in the comments below and in the, the video description. That's the one. Thank you everybody on the live chat, and thank you for everybody who's watching the video back afterwards and leaving comments and hitting the like button and buyingmeacoffee.com, which you can do via the thing QR code in the top left hand corner of the screen there, and all of the links are below to all of that, and Patreon, etc. I will see you on the latest helpful video on Wednesday evening. We've started doing those at 9 o'clock Spanish time, because the algorithms say that's a better time for people to be reading it, not at 5 o'clock in Spain, which is the time I've been putting it out, which obviously if you're in the UK is only 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so that's no good for the people working. Anyway, I'll see you either then or next Saturday morning at the regular time of 9 o'clock if you're in the UK or Ireland, or 10 o'clock if you're in Spain or Central Europe. Thanks everybody, big wave on the live chat. That's all for this week, and somebody pass around the insurance cookies and we'll all sit around the pool and continue to chat. Peace and love to you all, and here's one final message from all of us at YouTooSpain.
Bye, lads. Bye. Goodbye. Toodaloo. Peace and love. Peas and fluff. Oi, oi. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. One more cosmic dance? All right, then. Look, Mum, I'm dancing. Oh, I'm all a quiver. Let's dance.